I'm now recording. Okay. Now, going back to what we were just looking at before, I brought up the screen for it doesn't want to stay on.
Can I just ask you a mad question? So I know you'll probably what your answer's going to be, but I'll try anyway. So you know the example that you sent through of the Unit 3 module,
Yeah.
and it was quite lengthy.
That's what I said to you. Do not be overawed by that. It
But
was it's just an example or several examples of each
with
part.
with me, as you know, I've done my level 3, and obviously
Yeah.
I have got my degree as well. So
Yeah.
a bit obsessed like with words because I felt that I spent maybe too long on the level 3 and maybe put like just the amount of work that I put into it and the assignments and stuff, and it would take me a long time because I just
Yeah.
wanted to do a good job. So then it didn't come back with loads of corrections. So what would your advice be to me? So for example, for the first one you've just mentioned sort of 3 theorists, Anderson, Brunner, Vygotsky, who I know. Would
Yeah.
that be sufficient? Or I'm going to have to explore more, aren't I? I just need kind
The answer is yes. The
of
examples I gave you were just examples, but
okay.
there were a lot of them. Now, some of them, like I said to you before, won't apply to you, or they don't fit within your situation. But the 3 that you've just mentioned now do, and they will fit in with quite a lot of teachers' situations. And what I would, if you've got work that you think will fulfil the requirements of that, then by all means put that through. I've no objection to that whatsoever. It's part of an APL process, really. If you've got stuff before that you've completed that matches or meets the criteria for this particular unit or whatever unit we're doing on there, by all means put that forward.
Could I potentially, because the thing is, when I did my like assignment, so then when it all came together, so they basically put it all into one big portfolio, which I think we're going to sort of have as well. Is
All
there
right.
is there any way that I'd be able to submit my portfolio, and would somebody be able to look at it, or is that not?
Well, you would have to match the units.
Yeah, see, it doesn't. It's only bits of it. So obviously, I looked at kind of theory, so
Yeah.
bits of that would come into it, but not like the whole kind of piece of work. So it'd probably just be
Oh, exactly. Yeah, yeah. What you've got is, if you've got some work completed already that is meeting the criteria that you've got down here, and that is an analysis of 2 or 3 theorists with regard to learning, then put that, embellish it, use it, but you may want to add some to it. But yeah, that's fine. There's no problem with that at all. And what I would suggest is then, if you've got that work, then look at each unit as we go through it. And then you can look at your portfolio and see what's in the portfolio that looks at that particular subject. And
because I
does it
think
cover it deeply enough to be able to achieve
we
the
we
standard at this level?
because we did a lot of work on one of our units. We did a lot of work on formative, summative, and diagnostic. So that was quite
Yeah.
a big piece of work that we did.
Well,
Assessment.
you'll find unit 1 is on about
Yeah.
initial assessment, and works from there right up to the teaching process. Everything that you've got to do, gathering information about your learners, their needs, and what sort of resources you're going to use, and so forth. All that comes in unit 1. But again, a lot of what you've written will meet the criteria. But if it's written from a theory point of view rather than a personal point of view, then you may have to merely change the tense, change it to first person instead of third person, stuff like that. So again, I always recommend this because it's something I've done all through my career. If I've got a particular qualification under my belt already, that fulfills or partly fulfills the criteria that I'm working towards, then I will use that, and in some cases extend it, or some cases change the tense. Like I've said, if it's asking for a personal view, I will then change it to first person rather than I've written it in a generalistic view. I'll just change the tense and change the wording. That's all, and it saves a lot of work because if you can see that it's actually covering it, then fine. But again, the thing to remember that I keep saying on this is that it's about you and what you do. This course, yeah, it's a practical course. The other courses you've done before are part of half and half, really, and this one allows you much more to be able to. It's showing practice. It's looking at what you do and what you've got and what your school has in terms of documentation that you have to complete with your learners. It's like one of my students on an assessment course sent in some assessments he's completed for the courses that he's teaching. Now, he'd not sent me anything in for his course. And I wrote back to him and said, if you want to submit these as evidence for your for your qualification, all you really need to do is change them to learner A and B and take the names off. And everything after that, if they've got any signatures off, just change it to learner A and B and so we don't actually recognise them. And then you could use that evidence clearly. I've looked through it today. I've done a sampling plan on it for the course you're doing, and it's fine. I agree with your assessment. I've not had a problem with that at all. But as an idea, you haven't sent me anything in for this qualification, and that is an ideal piece of evidence. You just really need then to write how should I say? If you take it each learning objective in turn, write it down, and then say, to cover this, I have evidence such and thing, such a thing, such a thing, and just take me through it, what it is and what you've done with it, and then just sort of do a narrative through there, all the learning objectives against what evidence you produce for it. And that applies to this one to some extent as well. It will ask you to do something, and then you can say, yeah, well, I've got an initial assessment for a couple of learners here. Yeah, so you've taken the names out, put them learner A and B or whatever, and this learner had a particular issue that we had to deal with. Yeah, if you haven't got one, and I'll mention this because it's perfectly okay. If you haven't got a learner that's got a learning issue, that you would have to say, change the resources that you use for teaching, then invent one. Say this learner, because you've not named them anymore and they can't be traced back, you can say this learner has a sight problems and I will have to do this, this, and this.
That won't be a problem because, as you well know, myself and Emily, your previous student, we work in a special needs school. So
we've
got the whole.
Emily Cuttingham.
Yeah, the whole
right,
spectrum we've got. So yeah, I'll be okay with. I think I'll be all right with that.
Yeah, but it's a problem for some teachers in normal schools. They've not got any. Well, what do I do? I said, well, it doesn't really matter because you're going to tell me that this person's got a problem, and then you're telling me how you've got around it and what you've done about it, and that's how you've actually fulfilled the requirements. And right, okay, well, I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, well, that's basically what we need to do. Now, what I'll do is if I can bring this damn thing up again. Why does it keep flashing off? Right. No, I'm losing it. I will have to go back to Zoom.
You need to practice practice working with your new computer, Phil.
Yeah. Try and bring that back.
I've got my trusty Mac.
It doesn't like me. Right, well, what I'll do is No, I'll learn it. See, this is what I mean by not understanding really what the why it's not. I mean, I should know why that's happening, but